Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, can hear you sound. You hear me all right?
Yes, I can. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Okay.
How's your day been?
Tiring.
Yeah, yeah,
Tiring, yeah. With four
long one.
kids, school runs and training and, everything that goes into it. Yeah, for sure. Tiring at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so obviously got you on to speak about your upcoming fight on April 9th, but obviously I'm gonna take the opportunity to chat to you about other things as well. Um, So to start off, then I guess my first question would be like, how did you get your podcast started?
Right. So the podcast, um, yeah, the podcast is it's a product of two things. One, it was the 75 hard, like I told you on the messages. I was doing that program for mental toughness to get myself out of a depressive state and give me something to focus on and something to do every day. As part of that program, the phase two, you're supposed to start a side hustle. You're supposed to start, whether it's a business or a hobby, something that you can do every day that brings positivity into your life. And obviously, then you're not so depressed, you're not focusing on those things, on those negative thoughts, and you're putting your energy into something that you want to see growing. And obviously, whether it brings financial return or not, that's not the point. At least not at that stage. It's just for you to start something that brings you happiness, really. So, um, talking is something that I've always done because I've always worked in sales since I was 18. And I actually had started a podcast before on my coaching page, and I didn't really enjoy it because it was just me talking by myself, talking about nutrition and this and that, and I just thought it was boring as fuck. And I quickly discovered, okay, that's not the thing that's going to bring me, happiness or whatever. So let me see what else I can talk. And the other two things that I can talk about forever, it's weight training and MMA. So nutrition, weight training, and MMA. Those are the three things that I can talk with anyone for hours and hours, whether they understand it or not. You know, I can give them a crash course and make them understand things. Um, but anyway, so uh, in weight training, it would be very hard for me to find somebody once a week to try and sit with me and talk about training the
Yeah,
way that Joe Rogan podcast does and all those other podcasts do. So I thought MMA would be the way to go, and I didn't really pull the trigger on that. I was just contemplating what I should be doing. And Reese McKee has his debut in the UFC about the same week as I'm pondering these things. He has the UFC debut. I'm drinking my beer on the sofa, 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it is in the UK.
yeah, yeah. Ridiculous time.
If you remember, this happened while it was like lockdown, so there was nothing else going on, just the UFC.
Yeah,
Um, and whenever I think it was Bruce Crawford, whenever he says from Ballymena, Northern Ireland, I nearly spit my beer out of my mouth, like those memes that you see. Yeah,
yeah,
so I did one of those, and because Ballymena is about 45 minutes from where I live, so that's how close it is. And I knew that Norman Park was from there, and he had been in the UFC, he had been in the Ultimate Fighter, and all that. Um, so I knew that he was from there, but I had no idea that there was somebody else because I wasn't following, Cage Warriors. I wasn't following the local scene whatsoever. Um, I was one of them casual fans that I've been looking at the UFC since 2010, and I never had a reason to look elsewhere because I
yeah,
just been watching UFC since then. So that made me think, and it made me think really deeply of, how wrong it is that I have somebody in my backyard, UFC level talent, and I have no fucking clue who the guy is. So let me try and change that. Let me try and get these guys on from an amateur level, follow their career, see where that goes, whether that's Cage Warriors or Brave or KSW One Championship, Bellator. And then if they get to the UFC, not only I know who they are, everybody else fucking knows who they are because everybody's been
Yeah.
following their journey from amateur. That was the idea of the podcast, which is why I called it Prospect MMA Podcast.
Yeah.
Follow the prospect journeys, and yeah, and that's how it started. And a year and a half later, here we are.
Oh, mate, to be honest with you, like you say it's been a year and a half. In that year and a half, you've absolutely smashed it. I mean, I can't even call out how we come across you, but I just remember once we come across you, it was like, oh, Prospect MMA is going live, it's going live. Like, he gets it done, you know what I mean? Like, was that your sort of ambition when you started to do as many as
No,
you can?
no, that was an accident. I'll tell you exactly what happened. So the first event, so right, so I start the podcast, right? I take the name, I tell my wife, Prospect MMA, that's going to be the name of the podcast. Wife laughs at me, thinks it's a stupid name. I'm like, no fucks given. I'm going with my gut instinct here. I think it's going to be cool. Do it. I do the icon or the logo on the note on the Samsung. I mean, they're doing this, right? And they put the background as black, letters in red. Let's go, Prospect MMA. Just literally write the word and take
Yeah,
a screenshot and went on Instagram, created that. Went on Twitter, did the same thing. Went on YouTube. So pretty much tried to take the name everywhere. And obviously the name was available everywhere because obviously
yeah,
nobody would call it that, right? Only myself. So that was step one. And then I'm like, okay, let me see. Obviously, it's full on pandemic, right? So there's no events going on whatsoever. And I messaged Corey McKenna from Wales. She was fighting that weekend.
yeah,
And that's the fight that she broke her ankle or tore her ankle. So the fight before this one last in England, which was over a year ago. Yeah, a year and a half ago. Yeah, she was my third guest.
yeah,
So I messaged her and I say, good luck with the fight, blah blah blah. I then start looking at the undercard of that UFC, and I start noticing, like on my coaching page, I had like 1,500 followers, and I noticed that a lot of the fighters they have less than 1,000 followers, and these are fighters that are in the UFC. So
yeah.
like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Madness, yeah,
these guys should have like I don't know 20,000 plus something like that. So I start contacting every single one and trying to see if anybody answers. Corey's the only one that answers, right? And I'm like, okay, this is not going to do. That's not enough for me to get a podcast going on a regular basis. Clan Wars then on the same week announces that they are going to put a card together in Belfast. Um, Closed doors, no crowd, blah 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 blah. Comply with regulations. And I'm like, let me message every single fucking guy on these cards because I'm sure only one or two are going to answer, just like the UFC, right?
yeah,
I'm using the same logic. If I message the whole card of the UFC and one person answers, I'll message that whole card, one or two might answer. To my surprise, the majority of the fighters answered, and then I couldn't back down and say no because I would look
yeah.
like a fucking plot, right? So I was kind of forced to, okay, now I need to fucking fit all these
Plan,
people in
oh yeah,
the podcast. And, it just went from there. And then after that event, another one was announced, did the same thing, messaged everybody. And then, most guys say yes as well. So I'm like, oh, fuck, this is not slowing down. Let's try
yeah,
and fit everybody. And the next card and the next card. And it just became like a fucking roller coaster of, going from one card to the next, to the next, to the next. Then I got contacted by Stage Steel. Obviously, I was just focusing, like, again, the idea was to cover prospects all over the world, but
yeah,
since it took off really well on my doorstep, I kind of feel like if I can help the guys right here on my doorstep, why not do that, right? So
Yeah.
primarily, then I took my focus into helping the guys and the shows, the local shows, local fighters. But when Cage Steel asked, can you do the same thing for us and this and that, I was like, cool, let's do that. And then done the same thing for UKFC. So then it started becoming UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, then I got a few fighters from Bellator, then a few from Brave, from Championship. Then I got a promotion from Brazil asking me if I could do their stuff. Like it just, yeah,
Just kept coming.
it just, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just a podcast at this stage, because like as you've seen, I'm doing now media coverage
Yeah.
at the actual event. I'm doing pre and post fight interviews, that kind of stuff. So I was hired by MMA Island to go into the Bellator. Um, More recently, been hired by FCC MMA to start doing the same sort of thing that I do on my podcast, the live, but to do it on their page for
Yeah.
them. So that's going to start this Thursday. Was supposed to start last Thursday, but we had a problem there. Yeah, it's, that's
Yeah.
how it
So it's
started. To answer your question.
no, but it's really like took off, hasn't it? No, I mean, like it sort of worked in your favour that you messaged everyone on Cage Legacy because, like, as I say, the first thing I noticed was like your work ethic. You know what I mean? Podcast after podcast, and obviously that worked in your favour. But for you, like, is it mad? So you were saying there that you were doing your logo in the bed and that, and it was just an idea at first. If you look at where you are now, as you say, it's only been a year and a half. Did you expect to be at this point in such
No,
a small window of time?
not in a
No.
million years. Like literally no. Um, Again, because I had already started a podcast before, and that never really went anywhere. I had kind of the same expectations for this one, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. I was doing it literally so that me, as a fan of MMA, if I can set myself up that I can speak with the fighters that I look up to, I'm a happy guy. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you. So I told you the recent story. So for me, it was a super surreal moment when I grew the podcast to the point that I invite Reese to come on, and he says yes, and he comes on, and he's a guest. So here I am watching him on the sofa, don't know who the fuck he is, and a few months later, just by doing the podcast, of fucking, I don't know, 100 episodes or whatever, he then is one of my guests, like, that
Yeah.
was like super cool. To watch, Corey McKinnon fighting in the UFC and then have her as a guest. Um, Things like that, like you're watching these guys on TV, you're watching their handiwork and, their knockouts, their submissions, their fight of the night wars, and then you have a chance to speak with them. That's like imagine if you're a fan of football and you can speak with Cristiano Ronaldo after their
Yeah.
football match, or with Messi, or like it would be like a really big fucking deal, right?
Yeah.
But for
Yeah.
us MMA fans, each single fighter is basically the equivalent to its own football club. You know what I mean? Each
Yeah.
fighter is its own brand, its own team, really. So for us, like the variety, you can literally be speaking with fighters from, say, the Premier League or La Liga, or anywhere
Yeah.
around the
Yeah.
world, really.
Yeah.
Just by doing this, and that's all I wanted. So I wasn't expecting, to be what I am. So, like as part of that 75 hard, I made like a 10-year plan. So like there's stuff that's happening now that I'm planning, that I was planning for like year 5, 6,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
7, and that's happening right now. Like I didn't expect to be invited to go to a show 7 months in, or 6 months, 7 months in, yeah, 7 months
Yeah.
in. I was thinking I'm gonna have to work hard for at least 3 years, get my name out there, and build my reputation, and create a good relationship with the the promotion, stuff like that. And I'll give you a good example. Whenever I message Clan Wars, whenever I messaged all those fighters the first time and I messaged Clan Wars, I think I had less than 100 followers. They read my message, they didn't reply.
Yeah.
You know? A few months later, they start tagging me on all the posts, and
Yeah.
they start sharing my podcast because I'm doing podcasts of fighters that are going to be fighting on their cards. They start sharing that, and I say thank you, and then they reply, and then and then yeah, start getting in that way. Um, and then obviously the same thing happened with Cage Legacy. And then the same thing happened with your fighting championship, and then Chaos Grappling, and then the Bellator call. That was like super cool. Things like that. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm way ahead of schedule for what I had planned for myself.
Yeah.
I'm way ahead of schedule right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. It's brilliant. You know what I mean? To be able to set out a plan with your podcast and go, in 5 years I want to be here, but then within two or less than two, you've hit them goals
Yeah.
already. You know what I mean? Like, for you, like, what do you think has been the sort of thing that's made it just accelerate as fast as it has? Um,
Hmm.
do you think it's your work ethic? Do you think it's the fact that you're a good man, know what I mean, and you're helping the fighters as well? Like,
I think
what do you
there's a
think
few
is that?
things, right? One, I can talk with anybody, anywhere. So that's a personality trait that not everybody has, and I
Yeah,
know that because I used to be a team manager. So like I've worked my way up in sales where I had my own team, and I used to teach people and coach them. And I remember, okay, this guy's not going to make it. This guy is going to make it. This guy has what it takes to make it in sales. This one doesn't. So there's a personality trait from people, um, especially good salesmen, that they can strike conversation like that with anybody, anywhere, in a shopping mall, knocking at their own door, cold calling. Like I've done all that shit. Um, so I was the annoying guy knocking at people's doors or in the shopping mall trying to approach them and stuff like that. So I've done all that. And not everybody can do that. Tell you that right now. Not everybody can,
yeah,
can do that. So having that is a great advantage, right? Straight off the bat, that's a great advantage. Two, being a really good fan of the sport. And what I mean by that is I've been following the sport since 2010. Not only I've been following it, I've trained in the sport for a year until I picked up the injury. Um, but I never stopped being a fan. I've always kept watching. So I
yeah,
started around the time that John Jones had his debut, just for reference, so people know he was 6-0. I watched his first fight in the UFC. So I watched the whole rise, and we are the same age. Me and John Jones are the same age. So whenever he was like 23 and getting his UFC belt, I was like, wow, that could have been me. But obviously, it couldn't have been me. But someone of the exact same age as me is out there doing it. Like
yeah,
that's what I mean. So being a good fan of the sport, understanding the hard work, the dedication that goes into it, what goes behind doors. I think a lot of and with no disrespect to anybody, but the likes of Ariel Helwani, I don't think you can look at him and say he trained MMA before. He probably never trained a day in his life. He's a very good reporter, though. He's a very good
yeah,
reporter. He probably has he probably has an idea of the effort that it is to lead the life, but I have hands-on experience on what that is like. Um, so having that empathy and having that understanding of how hard it is to actually pursue this, I think gives me another perspective um, versus other, reporters, podcasters, journalists, whatever. And then I literally did not see any other podcast giving attention to the amateurs. So there was a million podcasts out there focusing on UFC and Bellator and the top guys, Conor McGregor, always posting the news. I don't want to be just one more guy in a
yeah,
fucking ocean, you know, Like,
yeah,
what difference am I going to make? You know what I mean? I'm not going to make a difference there. But I don't see anybody covering amateurs. I don't see anybody covering the journey from these guys. So I think those three things um, made it, yeah, made kind of the successful formula for these to pick up. Then you can put the work ethic on top of that, the dedication, the hours that I put in, all that stuff. But um, with, without those other three, I don't think, you know, it would work. Especially the choosing that niche of I'm going to start on the amateurs, and that's why I set up that 10-year window. So in 10 years, I'm going to find the next Conor McGregor athlete
yeah,
from an amateur. I'm going to see him rising through the ranks. I'm going to see him turn pro. I'm going to see him kill everybody in front of him, get to Cage Warriors, get the call to the UFC, and I'm going to be there every single step of the way.
yeah,
And it's not going to be one. There's probably going to be more than one fighter because you have John Jones, you have Francis Ngannou, you have Kamaru Usman, you have Israel Adesanya. So you have more than one top fighter. There's more
yeah,
than one. So I'm going to be able to find more than one Conor McGregor level athlete, and I'm going to be able to follow their journey. And as they grow, I'm pretty sure I'm going to grow with them. Um, but that's already happening without having to find the guy already or anything like that. So it
yeah,
obviously makes me very happy. And again, as a fan, to be able to be cage side watching these fights, it's like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes I get imposter syndrome, like, what
yeah,
did I do to deserve this? But then I'm like, yeah, you put a lot of freaking hours into this. You did a lot of work. You probably helped a lot of guys, and I know I did because I got fighters telling me that they got sponsors because they came on the podcast because of the way the lives work. Their followers get to see the
yeah.
live, right?
Notification,
Not
yeah,
just
yeah,
their followers, right? And then, somebody tagged the company joined the live, and they were like, yeah, we'll sponsor you and this and that.
yeah,
Things like that have happened. There's fighters calling out fighters. So like fights have been made on the podcast, which is like pretty
yeah,
cool as
yeah,
well. So I have my own pre-fight conference on my own podcast, which is like for sure the face off.
yeah,
Things like that. Like as a fan, can you ask anything more? You know, um, only like give me your autograph or whatever. Like besides
yeah,
that, yeah, I'm pretty good. That's what I got.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Have you seen this, Emmanuel? So you see this Jay Campbell here. It's,
That's
it's
Sir
called
Campbell's
me
son.
Roy Cropper. Seen this?
What does that mean?
So
Right.
so the other night when I went Almighty, I was carrying around a bag, so he decided to call me Roy Cropper off Coronation Street because he's always got a bag with him.
Oh fuck. Yeah, my wife watches that shit, but I don't know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Well,
garbage.
well, I
I
told
don't
him,
watch TV.
I told him I was I was too young to know who he was. You know what I mean? So Jay's just showing his age there, aren't you, Jay?
All right. Oh man, yeah. I make my own TV, as you can tell. Yeah, I
Yeah,
make my own shows, and and
this
and
this
people.
is your entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get to
Yeah,
sit down and have a chat for an hour or something, um, every day. Which, to be honest, after the whole day, all the stress, all the tiredness, being able to sit down and have a conversation is like good stress relief, helps with the depression as well, and everything else. It's like super super good. The
yeah,
podcast has helped me like in more ways than one. In terms of my mental health, like literally a savior. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. I want to go back to something you mentioned there. Obviously, from the start, you've covered, amateur MMA, and yeah, I've seen a lot more people cover it recently. Obviously, we cover it ourselves as well. Um, what do you make so from when you started with it to now? what do you think of the sort of expansion of amateur MMA and how much it's come on?
Sorry.
And I did.
I was going to answer and then I got tripped out there. So whenever I started, just remember there was a lockdown, so there was nothing going on besides the UFC. And then when war started, then they got shut down on their second show. They weren't allowed to run in March. Then Cage Legacy was going to have their show. Then their show got shut down as well because Ireland and Northern Ireland have two different jurisdictions.
Right.
So the people who don't know, it's two different countries. One belongs to the UK, the other one doesn't. So the laws, like Clan Wars, was allowed to run the first one, but nothing in Ireland was allowed to run, and so on and so forth. Anyway,
Right.
but as soon as the fights were announced, I was still going to work. I was still inviting the fighters on, still having the conversations, knowing who they are, how they started into MMA, plans for the future, blah, blah, blah. And then the shows were canceled. It doesn't matter. I already had all those episodes recorded. They're live anyway. Which was another thing that I decided to do on the podcast, do it live so I don't have to deal with my anxiety of seeking perfection. And since I don't have any editing skills or any shit like that, I'm like, I just go live, post and ghost, like Joe Rogan says on his podcast all the time, post and ghost, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I didn't focus on perfection, just get the work done, get the job done, and worry with perfection in the future. Whenever I'm making money out of this and I can hire somebody to do my video editing, I'll gladly do that. But I'm not going to learn that shit. I don't have time for that. So, but anyway, so lockdown to then everything is open. All the shows are running here in the UK, everywhere. So there's a big difference there, you know. There's a big difference because at the time that I started, it was very, very hard to find shows that were going.
Yeah.
And now it's like every single fucking weekend there's a show somewhere going on. So now it's like I don't have the time to cover every single show, which is why I always say we need more media, more guys doing the same thing that I'm doing. Cover. We literally need more eyes on the amateur scene. So I'm glad we have like Fans View MMA came about. I helped him. He came and helped me on the Cage Legacy. So he was my +1 guy. I told him what I knew from doing Clan Wars, Cage Side Media. Then he went and done his own thing and started his own thing. And everything Air MMA does a mixture of amateurs and pros. The Beer MMA, those guys have been around for years and years and years, like 10 years, I think. And I think they are the #1 podcast in Europe, according to their bio on Instagram. I don't know how to check if that's legit or not. But those guys, to my knowledge, they used to only cover pros. So like Paul Hughes, Ian Gary, Dean Barry, Conor McGregor, whoever was pro on the scene, they would have them on the podcast. And since I started doing amateurs, they then started bringing amateurs on. So I don't know if it's something that they realized, oh, there's a market here, or oh, look what this guy is doing. Let's do that as well. Let's try and help out the local scene too. So to me, that's the main thing that I've seen growing. More media attention, more podcasts, actually taking the time to speak with amateurs as well, not just the pros. Because before that, it was just all pro. Are you pro? Cool, we'll have you as a guest on. If you're not pro, then fuck off. We'll not talk to you.
You know? We don't want you on this show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not good enough for us or something. People want the name, right? They want the UFC name.
That's it.
Guys
to
the episode and this and that. Where I didn't give a shit about that because I wasn't doing the podcast for that. I was doing the podcast so that I could speak with, you know, the MMA fighter that I'm about to see a week from now or 2 weeks from now, whenever the card is, so I know who the fuck I'm watching. Otherwise, I have no clue who I'm watching. So I want to know who I'm watching, what's his background, how did he start this, and then I like to do the MMA math in my head. Oh, that that guy's from striking, that guy's from jiu-jitsu, if that goes to the ground, that guy's going to win. If he keeps it standing, then he has higher chance. Like as a fan, I like to do all those math computations in my head. So again, I wasn't trying to, you know, have the big names just so that I could grow on the back of that or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
um,
Let me
but
just
yeah,
let
so
this
to,
just done.
to answer your question, it's great to see lockdown ending because that's the real reason why the scene wasn't going. The scene was
Yeah.
going before lockdowns came in. I just didn't catch it at
Yeah.
that time because I wasn't paying attention to it. But as soon as the lockdown, picked up, Cage Warriors was even running events during the lockdowns, if you remember.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Cage Warriors was another promotion that I got onto. I got fighters from Cage Warriors. I got like Ben Ellis. He was one of the first prospects to come on the podcast. He was, I think, 3-0, and then he had 8 wins as an amateur. So he had never tasted defeat
Yeah. Yeah.
as an amateur pro, and he came on the podcast. Um, so I think he was the first Cage Warriors athlete to come on, but I could be wrong. That many episodes. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to keep track. But anyway, yeah, it's just good to see lockdowns are over. MMA scene is full on going again, and that way I have more chances of finding guys that are special that I can tell. And I'm sure you can think of a few names of guys that you can tell they are going to make it all the way already. Um,
Yeah.
I can give you a few names if you want, but if not, we can carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. You've sort of like when you mentioned severe MMA there and the fact that they only used to cover pro, you sort of like started a trend with some of you of giving the amateurs the sort of light they deserve. Know what I mean? Like when you mentioned before about, oh, are you pro? Let's get you on then and want them for the name value. People weren't in the mindset of the fact that, oh, we're actually an amateur podcast, so why are we not gonna have amateurs on as well? Know what I mean? Like,
That's true. That's true as
and
well. Yeah.
and as you say, it's a boss thing knowing you're seeing this person going through all of his career, and in some way you've helped them there. Know what I mean? Whether it be
Yeah.
small or whatnot, but
So
you know,
gratifying. Like it really is. It really is.
yeah. It So let's move on then. So obviously you mentioned you started the podcast. You were doing the 75 hard. Part of the thing was to um have a side hustle. You're now fighting on April 9th. Is that come because of 75 hard, or is it the fact that you've just dove into MMA?
Right. So, no, no. Mm, let me think. 'Cause that's a hard one. So the 75 hard. Your for those who don't know what it is, it's 75 days that stuck. You have no pleasure for 75 days. Basically, you have to work out twice a day, every single day, no days off. You gotta eat clean for 75 days, no cheat. That's fucking hard. You gotta read a motivational book or a book in like business development, anything like that, mindset, that kind of stuff. 10 pages every day. You gotta drink 4 liters of water every day. Take a selfie every day so you can keep documenting your transformation. Um, I think I'm covering everything. That's the first phase. If you make it through all that, you then take a month off, but then you can go and do the phase one. And it's on the phase one that he has all those things for 30 days instead of 75. But you start the side hustle list, 8 things that you got to do every day, whether that's sending, you know, say for example, for my nutrition or PT business, if I want to try and get 8 new clients, send 8 emails or make 8 cold calls or whatever, That's going to
Yeah.
allow me to progress my business further. In this case, I got to do an episode every day, or something like that. Um, so that came first, the podcast. Now, because I had trained MMA in 2010 to 2011, and I got my shoulder torn in a Kimura submission that I didn't tap. 6 weeks out from my first fight, I never got to fight ever. That never happened. So I was training for something for a whole year, and then I never got to
He
complete
never
it.
got to have the fight.
Yeah. And the 75 hard, I tried it 5 times, and I failed 4 times before I completed it on the fifth time. So that fifth time gave me the mentality of seeing things through. I start something, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
No giving up, I'll see it through. And looking back in my life, that's the one thing that I regret not having finished before. So I trained for something. I was going to do it. Shit happened. I didn't do it. I never tried to do it again, you know? And now, after doing all these podcasts, the fire kind of got lit again. And I'm like, what if? What
Yeah.
if?
Yeah.
Like, what if? I'm 34 years of age now, but what if? Like, do I
Yeah.
still have what it takes? Like, can I still do it? I don't know. Let's find out. So I signed up for one of these kind of Wings Warrior programs. Um, Wings Warrior is now called Ultra. It's changed their name. But
Yeah.
everybody knows Wings Warrior. So that's like a 20-week program. Then you fight at the end, and it literally takes you from somebody that knows nothing to somebody that can kill somebody, an average person on the street, right? On a one-on-one fight. Excuse me. So this one is called Ultra MMA. It's a white collar MMA fight. Eight
Right.
weeks of training. Same principle. You don't know anything. They train you for 8 weeks. At the end of the 8 weeks, you get to fight somebody you've been training with. So you're going to be matched somebody that's on the same level, also somebody that wasn't training to kill you or
Yeah.
anything like that. You raise money for cancer research, which comes in handy because my wife's mother, my mother-in-law, she had cancer last year, 2 cancers, and she survived and beat them. So I was like, that's a that's literally in line with
Yeah.
uh, what happened to us as a family. So let me raise money towards cancer research and obviously try and prevent that for future generations. It could be my daughter, it could be my daughter's daughter or daughter's son that's going to benefit from this. Um, and yeah, and the training is free for 8 weeks, so you can't really
Yeah.
complain. You know what I mean? Like it's eight
Yeah.
weeks of free training, twice a week. They do have a really good sales pitch. Like they use those 2 days a week to then offer people private, which are like £30 an hour, and they're like
Right.
a bunch
Yeah.
of guys wanting the extra, the extra lessons and stuff. So
Yeah.
they do make money off it on that side. But yeah, like we have to then sell 10 tickets. Um, which I sold, I think 12. So that was done. Then I done the fundraising. That bit was done. And then all I had to do was just focus on the training. Um, and yeah, twice a week now. I made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah, this only came from speaking with fighters over and over again, and me remembering how I used to train, how cool it was, how much I used to enjoy it, and the what if. I never got to finish that task or that objective that I had. Can I go and do it now? And I'm about to do it on Saturday, just to at least close that chapter in my life that I never got to do.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's great you finally getting to do it. One
Yeah,
to do for so long that haven't something that's stopped you, unfortunately. It's good to see you going to be able to do that fight that you had planned originally. What's the 8 weeks of training been like? Have you, have
say
you
it again,
essentially
sorry.
had to get, well, what's the 8 weeks of training been like? Like, have you had to cut down to a certain weight or anything like that?
Right. So I started at 220 pounds, which is 100 kgs. That's still heavyweight territory.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, and like I could stay there if I wanted to, which means then I'm then going to be matched against the other heavyweights that's in the group,
yeah,
and the only two other heavyweights in the group were like 6 foot fucking, I don't know, six or something, like
big
over
juggernauts.
100 kilos, but not fast, like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to compete for that. There's no fucking way.
Yeah,
So the next bracket would be 93 or under, which is light heavyweight. Um, I done that in like, I don't know, 3 weeks, in the first 3 weeks or something. I got down
yeah,
to the light heavyweight. Then the next bracket was 89 kg, which is super middleweight, so that's, or cruiserweight. I don't know
right.
what's one of the two. So it's in between middleweight and light heavyweight. Um, and again, couple more weeks, I was 89. I was like, what's the next one? Next one is 84, middleweight. Okay, let me try that. And
Yeah,
I'm sitting at 85 as of this morning. I'm having the weigh-ins on Thursday. So like 2 kilo off, which is awesome.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of fighters that get to fight week, and if they have to be 84, they would be 92 on fight week, and then they have to cut 8 kilos to make it, which is fucking atrocious. But they do it. Yeah. Since I
yeah,
coach other fighters how to cut weight, which is again something that came from the podcast after telling my weight loss stories and everything. Fighters got in touch with me, oh, can you help me and this and that? And sure, let's do it. And it's so much easier. Like it's so much easier, so much easier, and so much more pleasurable to work with a fighter because they really want it and they have something at stake where they have to be that weight on that day. Where working with a regular person, no bash on the regular people, they have other problems going on. But a lot of them, they fall off the wagon. They're not motivated. So you got to deal with the whole mindset on top of the physical side of things,
yeah,
where fighters pretty much the mindset started. They really want this. Let's just go to work. We're on the same page as far as mindset goes. So let's just
yeah,
go to work, and it's so much more pleasurable to work with fighters in that sense. Um, so since I don't advocate for weight cuts, big weight cuts, I don't think it would be um, good for me to do a big one myself. So like, let me do it the way that I tell other people to do it, which is to
yeah,
diet gradually throughout the weight camp. And if you can get to the fight week on weight, awesome. Um, if you just have like a few kilos to lose, that's easy done. One sauna session, you cut back whatever, done. Or you can fast for like 36 hours, done. Things like that, like easy things where you don't have to literally kill yourself, lose all your strength, risking losing your gas tank for the fight because you're not going to recover on time. All that shit that you see sometimes, even in UFC level athletes happening, where they've done the weight cut wrong and then they get
yeah,
stopped in the fight. It's like, what's the fucking point in that? Um, all you had to do was adhere to your diet a little bit more for a little bit longer, and you would have got there anyway. So I prefer that approach, and I think that's the way that the sport should be going. This
yeah,
is a totally different topic. Uh, you don't want to see guys passing out on the scales and falling backwards and stuff like we've seen in the UFC. Like, you don't need that. You don't need that
yeah,
for sure. Not good for the
yeah.
sport.
No, I think it's I think it's interesting that you've done it that way because I think it gives you more of an idea of what these fighters do go through to a certain extent, know what I mean? And then actually getting in there and fight. Like you see some fighters saying, well, you're a reporter and you've never had a fight at all. I've seen a Mike Tyson one going around some years ago. Like you're a reporter and you've not fought at all. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
now having that, like
And you know who
when
else
it
said
comes
that?
to men.
You know who else said that? Cub Swanson, after his last fight, which I think he lost, and there was some reporter that asked him stupid ass questions, and he tweeted the day after or a couple of days after that. He tweeted, "I wish every MMA reporter had to have at least 3 amateur fights before they would be allowed to be an MMA reporter. Some shit like that. And
Yeah.
that got me thinking, oh shit, yeah, I did want to fight. I, I used to want to fight. You know, I was training to fight. Then shit happened. Can I fight again? Let me see. Let me see what I can find. And I
Yeah.
found this one. Um, yeah, I found this one, and we'll see what happens after this one, whether or not um, I'll take another one after. I don't know. I can't tell you yet. Um, but for sure, this one is going to happen.
Yeah.
Whatever happens after. We'll talk about it after, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
one is going to happen. I made it to fight week. Um, I'm not going to the last training session, which is tomorrow, kind of on purpose because I don't want to risk any injuries whatsoever. There was a guy last week that on a takedown, he fell backwards and the guy fell on his knee and he fucked his knee up. He's now in a
Ah, right.
cast from his waist all the way down to his foot. Like the
Yeah.
guy's out. He's one of the heavyweights. So
Ah,
there's only
okay.
like one heavyweight left, and I don't know who he's going to fight because there's nobody else
Fight
on his
himself.
size. Yeah, like I literally don't know who they're going to pair him with. There's a guy that's like a light heavyweight. So I don't know if they're going to put them together. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen there on Thursday. We're going to find out who we are fighting. I have no idea. It's somebody that I've been training with, which I think is quite funny. Um, Somebody that I've been training with, and I'm going to have
Yeah.
to go in front of his face and make him tap or something. I don't know. Tap or
Have
net.
have you find yourself like sort of eyeing people up like, oh, I could be fighting them, and you sort of do you find yourself watching others to see what they're like
I
as
can't
you're
help it.
training or?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Can't help it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've already in my mind, I fought everybody in that room in my mind, and there's about 5 guys that can beat me out of the whole group. So I'm hoping I have to fight one of them 5 guys. Um, so two of them were the heavyweights. So I'm taking those guys out. So there's about
Yeah.
another 3 guys that I think could beat me. Um, yeah, from like all the training, like all the kettlebell training that I've been doing for years, it's paying off massively because like I have such a good grip strength that my defensive jiu-jitsu is really good. Guys get out before I get out, so they then have
Yeah.
to let go of the submission. If I get them onto something, they can get me off. They get out before I get out, so I end up squeezing the submissions. And so, like in terms of submissions, my game is good. And again, guys, take this with a grain of salt. It's good by comparison with the other guys in the group as well. Okay, I'm not saying it's good for
Yeah.
UHCs or amateurs or nothing like that. Just by comparison with the other guys in my group that also don't know fuck all. Um, so yeah, and then my downfall is my striking. Like I'm so fucking slow by comparison because like all these guys are like young 20-year-olds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're like so quick on their feet, and I'm like, I feel like an old man here. I like my strength is gonna literally be take them to the ground and tap them out, and if I can't do that, I'm gonna be fucked. And again, there's about 3 guys that can stop me from doing that.
Yeah.
So if I get paired with one of them and I can succeed, I'll be extremely happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Extremely happy.
is that your prediction for the night? Then you're gonna take someone's arm and submit them.
My hands are good though. Like it's my kicks and my foot movement that I think if I had to point the finger at something, it's
Yeah.
definitely my kicks and my foot movement that is lacking. Um, but yeah, but my hands are good. Like we do like drills of I gotta touch your shoulder, you gotta touch my shoulder, but you
Yeah.
can't let me touch my shoulder because if I touch it, you're gonna have to do a push-up. Drills are
Right.
like that, you know. And I'm like super quick, and I can touch most guys without them touching me. So my hands are there, reflexes and accuracy is there. And then we do the same thing with the knees. And I gotta touch your knees. You cannot touch my knees. And that's the one that people sometimes get me because I'm too slow to move my legs out of the way, but I can touch their knees normally
Yeah, yeah.
as fast as I can do the shoulders. And then we do the same drill, what is the shoulder and the knees, and you can pick which one you want to go for. So there's a
Right.
bit more of like level change and guessing. And again, on those I do super good, but I tend to focus on the shoulders because it's the one that I can get the quickest at. So if you swap a shoulder for a head, I'm going to be touching that head all day long before they can do anything. So that's going to be my plan A, and my plan B. Like I don't want to go for my safe route straight away. Let me see what I
Yeah.
can do on my feet first.
You want to test it, yeah.
Um, yeah, because like imagine that by accident you find out you have a really good knockout power. Awesome. Like I haven't punched anybody in the face full power yet, so I don't know
I'm
what kind
wanting
of.
to though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've done it. I've done it in a street fight before when I was like I don't know, teenager. And as a teenager, you don't really have that kind of strength, right, to really
Yeah,
knock somebody out. So I can't really use that. Always inspiring. I've always been like a respectful training partner. Never tried to knock anybody out. Always just technical. Can I touch you? Touch you there. Touch you there. Touch you there. Like so you know where your downfalls are, and you can then improve on. And the same thing to me, like and in this group there are a few guys that are too heavy, and I have to tell them go easy, easier, like chill out. We're not trying to kill each other yet. Wait until fight day. So there's a lot of guys that don't know how to spar.
yeah,
Um, it, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing across a lot of other gyms and a lot of other training partners. But yeah, that's something that I've always been good with, is like measuring my strength. But this time I don't have to pull my punches. So let me see what happens.
yeah.
I'm gonna train these guys that. For sure.
Now, to be honest with you, mate, like I'm the same. Like my kicking and that's terrible. Like my hips are crap and my balance is terrible. So anytime I kick, it's not the best. You know what I mean? So, but uh,
But the
yeah,
thing is, like, if it's like taekwondo kicks, I'm really good with them, but I'm good with them against the bag or against the dummy, and that's it.
yeah. Like he's the moving opponents is a bit harder.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The bag and the dummies, they're not trying to kick me back. Um, so, but spinning back kicks, I can do those really, really well. I can still do my axe kick. So like somehow I've kept my um, flexibility because like I
mm,
used to do like that. That was one of the first things I wanted to learn when I joined MMA. And I used to ask my instructor to teach me how to do an axe kick because I
yeah,
thought that was the coolest shit ever. To raise the foot against the man's head and then whack.
yeah,
And there's a highlight reel going around right now where the guy does the axe kick and the fighter goes like zombie and he does like a hook and a straight and the guy goes to
I don't
sleep.
think I've
I'll send
seen
you
it.
the video if I
Yeah,
look it
yeah,
up.
after.
It just happened this week in a kickboxing match. Axe kick,
Oh, wait
punch,
there, mate. Yeah, Muay Thai, yeah,
or my Muay Thai. Yeah, it could have been that.
yeah, yeah. I think I've seen
I've
it. Yeah,
always thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I can still do my axe kick. So like there was like a challenge going on the internet where you had to do the coolest kick you could possibly do. So I'd hang my hat on the door and then I done my axe kick to knock the hat off the door.
yeah.
And the door is obviously taller than me. I'm 5'10". Um, so like I can do that flashy shit, but that's not gonna work in a fight. Unfortunately, it's not gonna work in a fight, and I know that. I know that. So
You,
I'm
you can
obviously
always
not gonna
try
try
it.
that. No, like it's different, right? Taekwondo, you're not allowed to punch the face, I think. So you can kick the face, but you can't punch the face, and you
Right,
can't kick
yeah,
the leg. You can only kick. So it's so stupid, right? So if you're kicking somebody, you could just calf kick them or anything while they're kicking, and and you see that in Muay Thai, for example. the leg
Yeah.
sweeps and stuff, and that's it. They're on the ground. So in Taekwondo, you can't do that. You can only kick above the waist, right?
Right.
So nobody's going to kick your legs while you're kicking, which is why you can do all these flashy kicks and they
Yeah.
may
Yeah.
work. And then you're not allowed to punch the face, I don't think. It has to be below the neck.
Right.
Um,
Like
and
body shots with the fist and then
you
kick
know,
anywhere else.
it's stupid because if somebody is going to kick you and you can actually go straight or something, like as
Yeah.
they're kicking, that's actually a good counter. You can get in or get under and counter them, something like that. So Taekwondo is not really a good sport per se for MMA or for real street fight. It's the same shit as boxing, Go try that boxing shit in a street fight, and
Yeah.
you'll pretty much fight. So when they take you to the ground, you're gonna be fine. Yeah.
I can tell you're an MMA fan, can't you?
Say again, sorry.
I said you can tell you're an MMA fan, can't you?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. MMA all the way, for sure.
Yeah. No, to be honest, like I can't even do axe kick. I think if I kicked up high, the most I'd go is to me waist. Like that's how high I can get my foot because my
I can
hips are
do
just that bad.
I can do head kicks and all that, but we are not allowed to use them in this fight. So because it's
Right.
like a novice rule fight, there's no head kick and no ground and pound on the floor. So that's
Right.
why I was saying I can use my boxing as I'm standing. I can kick their legs. I can kick them. I can go for like the liver kick knockout. So I can do the spinning back kick to the liver and try and land that shit.
Yeah.
I can stop somebody with calf kicks or leg kicks. Um, you can kind of do the knee strike. It's not illegal. I don't know why. I think it should be illegal in all the fights, but it's not. Go figure that shit. So you can literally, do what the guy did, Kali 3 did to Modesto Bakauskas. That
Yeah.
knee strike in UFC,
Yeah.
the amount of action. You can do that in another fight.
It's
Okay.
mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
Everybody's
it's
stupid, right?
it's
Somebody's
mad.
gonna get
Like
fucked.
yeah. No. I think they've put these things in place, so I'm assuming you don't have the gear and shin guards and that as well.
We're
So
gonna be having the shin
yeah.
pad, the groin protector, mouthpiece. Shout out to Piece of Fish for sending me shorts and mouthpiece for this fight. They're my sponsor as far as MMA gear goes. The gloves are provided by them, and the shin guards are provided by them. As in the Ultra MMA, they have
Right.
their own gloves. Because you see
Yeah.
a lot of these promotions, the fighters have to bring their own gloves, which is fucking stupid. I think
So
it's
you
an
can actually bring
opportunity
your
right
own
now.
gloves if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, like Clan Wars that doesn't have their own gloves, and
Yeah.
World Fighting Championship doesn't have it, and Chaos doesn't have it, and I get it, it's expensive to make their own gloves, but it looks cool as fuck that fighters are using their own gloves. So yeah, I would say it's a small investment for this promotion. They should definitely invest in that. Ultra MMA has their own gloves, and everybody uses the same gloves across the board. Um, where shows like this, as long as it's a 7 ounce glove and the
Yeah.
referee checked it, it's all legal. It's all good. But you won't
Right.
have to wear 7 ounce gloves. So, which is
Right.
the sparring gloves, if you know the sparring. And then there's like they're a bit thicker here,
Yeah. A bit
at
more
the top,
padded than that. Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
professionals are 7 ounce, 4 ounces. Sorry, 4 ounces. Yep.
I think amateurs do wear 7 ounces, don't they?
7, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting with amateur gloves
Yeah. Yeah.
on this fight. Shin pad is a difference. No ground and pound on the floor. No head kick. Well standing.
Right. Cool. Okay then. So you have this fight. Emmanuel Thompson gets the victory. What's your sort of next sort of endeavor that you want to do? Because obviously you've created the podcast. You've had the MMA fight, something you've been wanting to do for a while. what's the next thing that you see
Okay, so
you doing?
the next couple of things that I have in my mind is I want to get media credentials for Cage Warriors in Belfast, whether
Yeah,
they're through my podcast or through MMA Ireland. I don't care. I just want to be there. Uh, I want to cover the next Bellator that comes to Dublin, which fucking Ben Henderson is going to come over. Like, I've been watching that guy since WEC
yeah,
before
yeah,
UFC bought WEC. Like, how fucking cool is that? He's going to fight Peter Queally, which I was just with him this weekend. He was fighting, he was
yeah,
cornering one of these fighters, or several of these fighters, four of them. Three of them won, one lost. So they're doing great. So those are like, as far as like big MMA events, those are the two that I want to get into. So that the one Bellator that I went is not a fluke. I want to be able to repeat that and make
yeah,
it a reoccurring thing. Every time there's a big international event in Ireland, I'll be there covering the event. Um, his Warriors will be a first, like I said. What else? Then I want to see where the FCC MMA goes. So I'm going to start that weekly series with them. So once a week, bring like a pro fighter on the podcast and talk to them. Uh, see where that goes and what opportunities that can create. Um, I am trying to see, like, again, whether I win the fight or not, I don't care, right? And what do I mean by that? I made it here. I lost a bunch of weight. I've gained huge amounts of cardio. I've gained huge amounts of knowledge that I can use now for the podcast, for watching.
yeah,
Like, that to me is the victory, knowing that I had a date to respect, to show up on, and I'm going to show up on that date, and I've done the work. And knowing that if I had decided not to do my kettlebells, if I had decided not to go running, if I had decided not to diet, that shit is going to show up on the day. I will get exposed on the day. Um, so for me, that's the victory. The mindset, it's like downloading a new software and installing that shit on your brain, and you're
yeah,
getting the upgrade of the software. And I have a 2.0 Emanuel Thompson in me right now that I didn't have 8 weeks ago, right? So that's my victory. Whether I lose the fight or not, dude, it's literally a coin toss whether I'm gonna lose or I'm gonna win, and that's
yeah,
what people need to understand. It's a game of inches. I understand that. If I do one mistake, if I rotate the wrong way, I get caught in something different. If they do the same, they will get caught in something.
yeah,
The game's over. So who can handle the pressure the best? Like, and that's something that I want to see. How am I going to react? How's my anxiety gonna trigger? How are my nerves going to trigger? Um, like, you hear all these fighters saying they get tunnel vision, they don't see anything outside the cage, heart pounding, adrenaline dumps, like all these different things happen to fighters when they're in the cage. What's going to happen to me? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. So after that, I just hope that I've gained another perspective on the game as far as what they go through on fight day, what they
yeah,
go through on the weigh-in, what they go through walking. Like, the walkout must be terrifying. It must be fucking terrifying. Everybody's looking at you, right? And you're walking through the cave, and then you have to take your t-shirt off. Like, it's bad enough going to the beach and taking your t-shirt off, and you're thinking people are looking at you. But in that fucking room, everybody's gonna be looking at you.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
ah, I want to hide. You know, like, you're on your shorts. Like, how much worse can this get? It can't get any worse than this, right? Um, at least in a street fight, you're dressed, and yeah, I don't know. So hopefully I gained something from that, you know, um, and that's all I want. That's all I want.
yeah,
Like, I already gained so much just by going through this experience. Um, So I can't ask anything else. Whatever else comes from this is a cherry on top of the cake. And then we'll see. And then we'll see if I take on another fight. Um, I do joke around saying I've taken a novice, I'll take an amateur fight, and then take one pro fight. And if I
Yeah.
win, I'll just retire undefeated, and I'll be like Khabib, 100% win rate. There you go. Give me a can. I don't care. I just want to have that win, 100%
Yeah.
win rate. I'll contact the only cans and see if he can get me matched up.
I'm sure they'll find something for you.
Get me like a good can, step in the ring with me. I get a pro fight. There you go, then. No,
Yeah,
I'm just joking. Like, yeah, we'll see what happens next. You know,
definitely. Uh,
whatever I
you
gained
mentioned
already, more than enough.
you, you mentioned the workout there. Have you had to do like your own sort of workout in that, or
Oh
and
yeah.
if that's the case, then what kind of one have you went for? You went for like Paddy the Baddy, get everyone jumping about, or sort of a bit more reserved?
Oh no, like I had to choose my song, right? So the song that I chose was "Break Stuff" by Limp Bizkit.
Right.
Um, you know the song?
I don't know it, but it sounds violent.
Yeah, it's a very angry song. And I like it because I used to be a very angry teenager, and that song came out when I think I was 13. And every time I listen to it, it takes me back to that sort of mentality and that sort of time in my life where I was like being bullied all the time. I was in fights all the time. Just nothing was good at that stage. So that brings me back to I'm just gonna fucking kill this guy that's gonna be in front of me, and it's up to the ref to stop me from committing murder in front of everybody. And it's do or die. Like either I go down because I'm gonna come out swinging. And I know that everybody's like, don't do that because you're going to get out and blah, blah, blah. I know myself. I'm not going to be able to control myself. More than likely, I'm just going to come out swinging. If the guy catches me and I go down, that's fine. I can live with that.
That's what it is,
Like
isn't
I said, it's a, coin toss. And if I catch him, then he's fucked as well. So there you go.
it?
Yeah, talk to him. This is this thing that talk to him. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's going to be my song. As far as like how am I going to walk out? I don't even know what the venue looks like. I know it's the same spot that Clan Wars holds their event, but I don't know if they are going to put the cage in the exact same spot or
yeah,
if the curtains are in the exact same spot and all that. I have no idea until I get there. Um, I know I need to be there at like 2 o'clock. The event starts at 6, so 4 fucking hours doing nothing. Well, we have to do the medicals and hand
yeah,
drafts
yeah,
and all that shit. So again, another facet of the game that people don't see. Fighters have to arrive early to these events, cross paths with whoever they are fighting several times, and they're like, "Can't see you yet. Gotta wait until my turn."
yeah,
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 which must be a really awkward thing, right? Because every single time in a street fight, it's like, okay, me and you, let's go. Like it's happening now, right? I had no ill feelings towards you or no negative things until some shit happened. Then he went down, Where
yeah.
here, I know way in advance. I know from Thursday I'm gonna have to fight you on Saturday at 6 p.m. It's like, yeah, that's a different kind of thing. So I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna sleep on Friday. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the fuck happens.
Yeah. Well, whatever your experience, just experience it. You know what I mean? Because that is going to be your experience of it when you do go out there and just start throwing. However you are and back. It's all the process, I guess, isn't it, of what you're going to go through. So just take it sort of in your stride and let it be. I was going to
Nothing else
mention
to do.
something then. It went out my head. I was going to mention something off what you said. That was it. So, obviously, you cover the amateurs and everything like that. Is there going to be anyone there covering Emmanuel Thompson, getting footage of him and being able to show us what
Only
Emmanuel's done?
my guess, the guess that by guests, I mean the people that bought tickets to come and watch me. They're going to have their phones out, and the photographer that's going to be there is the same photographer that covers Clan Wars and the T1 event. So that guy knows me. I've worked with him, talked to him, uh, friends on Facebook. So I hope that he takes care of me and he takes a few good, cool pictures that I can, you know, put on the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Print like a big and just have it as my background for my podcast, some like really cool gold pictures. But besides that, like, yeah, just casual person,
yeah,
some footage that you see guys far away. I think you have some footage like that, right? At the Almighty, where you're
yeah,
far away and you're taking a photo. Like, that's what's going to be like, like
yeah,
whatever the
yeah.
fuck they are, they're going to say, like, it's not going to be like my footage, that I'm stateside. I can get like really
There's
close.
levels, isn't he?
Yeah. Like I
Gotta
really
get
like to get like
cage time.
in between that square where the phone is there and you don't even see the grid,
Yeah,
the fence, and it's like for the people watching, it's like we are all inside the cage with the fighters,
yeah.
uh,
It's literally
staring at
sitting
them,
around it.
and that's what I like to
Yeah.
only do this to, and the fighters as well.
I'll I'll have to try get that close next time I go to one. Do
Ask
you,
for
do, do,
credentials, media credentials.
when you get that close, do you get like blood splatter and that on you? Have you
Say
have
again?
you come have you come out of an event like when you've done your your videos and that close to the cage? You ever come out and notice like blood splatter or anything on you?
Never, not
No.
yet. Highly disappointed. Never
uh,
happened. Not yet. I've seen it happening to other people. So I've seen it happening to like the commentary people getting splattered with blood, but that was like across from them. So you went
yeah,
in that direction, not on my direction. So you know, but yeah, never happened to me. Not yet. Looking forward to happening. I think
yeah.
it's a cool thing. Yeah.
You,
In a
you should have like
state system way, it's a cool thing.
you should have like ran round the cage to where they were by the commentary so you could get a bit of blood on you. You know, "Ah,
You're not
got
allowed
some."
to. That's the thing. Like you gotta pick your spots and you gotta kind of stay for the duration of the fight and you stay in that spot. You can't be running around because there's a whole production crew going and
Yeah,
cameramen and stuff like that. So yeah, unfortunately you can't do that. Gotta
yeah.
have respect for the other people working in there as well.
Um, look, Emmanuel, I've had you for over an hour now. Speaking everything MMA, but before we go, um, obviously the big talk this weekend, apart from your fight, is UFC is back. Do you have a prediction for Volk and the Zombie?
Oh, I think Alexander is gonna rip through him easy, easy. Not even a question. Like the fight was supposed to happen with Max Holloway,
Yeah,
and then Max Holloway would recover. So I don't know why they didn't rearrange the fight again. Like that's what should have happened. And then Max Holloway was like, I can see it as a replacement for if anybody gets injured. Like, dude, that was your fight. They replaced you with the Korean Zombie. So the Korean Zombie is not the guy that should be fighting for that title. Um, can he cause a disappointment? Yes, absolutely. Of course he can. He's a Korean Zombie. But yeah, from what I've seen from Volkanovski, he's gonna kill him.
yeah,
Not the fight that I wanted to watch as a fan, to be honest.
yeah. No, I think I agree with you. I think Bog's gonna run through him. I want to see the Holloway fight again. He's earned it again. You know what I mean? So hopefully after this one, saying that, let's not look past the Zombie because he could do something crazy, and
Yeah,
shock
for sure.
everyone.
That's true. People to look out for though is Ian Gary. Ian Gary, look out for him. He's on the top of the prelims, 8-0, all by finish, 7 by finish, something like that. the majority of the fights are like a split submission and knockout. Majority knockout. So he does have like some submission issues.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that guy. Top talent coming out of Ireland. Started MMA because he saw Conor McGregor at the age of 13.
Yeah.
Also, that full circle,
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to capture that, from someone else and follow that journey as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you usually do this when you're finished your podcast, but let's do it you on the opposite end. So is there any sponsors you want to thank?
Yes, sir. So, like I said, Twisted Fish for coming on board and sponsoring me with the kids for the walkout, which I also use for training. Amazing shorts. They are hybrid shorts, so they have like a rash guard on the inside, and then they're like super flexible on the outside. Um, and the mouthpiece, best mouthpiece that I've tried as well. Really, really thick at the back, which allows you to really bite down on it and take punches on your face. So we'll see how that goes on Saturday. Then we have Air Muscle, which they have been with me nearly from the beginning, giving me supplements, my creatine, vitamin, protein powders, multivitamins, all that stuff. They kept me stocked up for my fight. Um, we are Hellbent, baby food. They do in England as well, Scotland, Wales, so anybody from there can try it. And those guys have been with me even before I started the podcast. So on my coaching page, Danny became podcast. So those guys have really been with me since day one. Um, and now we have Frank Soap, Battle Soap, Frank's Battle Soap. That's my newest
Yeah.
sponsor, which a lot of people here on Joe Rogan him talking about the defense soap for BJJ and MMA to prevent, MRSA, staph infections, fungi, bacterial infections. I never seen one here, so that's the first one that I came across. The guys from the UK, like, give that guy a try. The soaps, they smell lovely, and they don't dry your skin out. Because I have eczema, and so does my wife. My wife has psoriasis. It didn't trigger her psoriasis or my eczema, which most folks do. People that have that shit, they know what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, it's like legit product, and anybody that does BJJ, MMA, they are at risk from rubbing skin on skin, tying 20 different people in a training session. Um, we as humans, I'm pretty sure we never rub that much skin in an hour with anybody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
skins are not supposed to do that. And then you're transferring my bacteria into your skin and that skin into another skin and so on. And you got to kill all that shit. And it's all
Yeah.
made with like natural products, peat tree oil and olive oil and a bunch of oils. And it leaves the good stuff on, the good bacteria, and kills the bad. Like the likes of like a hand sanitizer, it kills the good and bad bacteria, so you don't want that. Um, yeah, so that's it. That's quite a shout out. And obviously, I have a GoFundMe for the cancer research, but I already like got plenty of donations. So I don't need
Yeah.
any more donations. If anybody wants to make an extra one, it's there as well. I can send you the link.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So
Make sure you save the life. Don't be discarding it by mistake or anything. I
make
had that
sure I
happen
do that.
before. No, I mean, whenever you stop the live, make sure you save it and share it, and put me as a collaborator so you can go on my feed as well.
Right.
Otherwise,
Okay.
like I think I had one with a cupcake part, and then you discarded the media at the end by mistake, and that was it. The live was gone.
Right.
So, just
And
making sure you do that.
hopefully I figured out. I'm not too bad with technology, but I'm not
You out
familiar
there.
as much with Instagram like you are. So hopefully I can sort it for you and have you as a collaborator. But yeah, send us your sponsors and that as well in a message, and I'll tag them when I post the episode. But Yeah,
Much
thanks for
appreciated.
chatting, mate.
Yeah, no
It's
worries, man.
been,
It's been a pleasure. Long do chat out, I would say. Long do.
yeah. No, it's been great having you, mate, and chatting about how you started and the fight and everything. So it's yeah, thank you for coming on.
No worries. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
You too, mate. Thank you.
Bye bye.